Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Underground Wellness Show. This week's guest is Mark Sisson, author of The Primal Blueprint. I had the chance to spend the day with Mark. We got to talk all things primal. We spent some time in the kitchen, and we also got to work it out grok style. Check this out. Today, we're grokking out with Mark Sisson, author of The Primal Blueprint. Mark, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, Sean.
I read your book. As a matter of fact, I read your book twice, maybe even 3 times. You talk a lot about turning genes on and turning genes off. Tell us more about that.
That's the whole essence of achieving a healthy body. I mean, we all want to be lean, strong, fit, fast, happy, healthy, all these things. And we have a recipe within us. We have a genetic recipe to be as healthy as we possibly can be. But it depends on the genes and how the genes express themselves. There are genes that turn on inflammation based on things we do, foods we eat, types of exercise we choose to do, not getting enough sleep. There are foods that turn on the genes that store body fat. What we want to do is discover those genes that turn off the inflammation, that prompt us to burn off our stored body fat all day long. We want to turn on those genes that boost the immune system. So it really is about discovering these on-off, what I call these hidden genetic on-off switches, and then incorporating those signals through the foods we eat, the types of exercise we choose to do, the sleep exposure, sun exposure, thoughts we think, all of this.
Right, and so you talk about doing this through the primal lifestyle, and in your book you have a character who I love. Like I said earlier, we're grokking out. A character called Grok. Tell us about Grok.
So Grok is my prototypical 10,000-year-old hunter-gatherer before the advent of agriculture, sort of the last of the hunter-gatherers. He represents the epitome of the human form in terms of strength, robustness, health, and all the things that we're seeking. The clues to turn on the gene switches that I just spoke of are all found in evolutionary biology. We are the representations of 2.5 million years of evolution as humans, doing certain types of behaviors, eating certain ways, eating certain types of food, moving certain ways. And so I use Grok as that prototypical guy to say, okay, what would Grok do in this situation? How did he move? How did he sleep? How much sun did he get? What sorts of foods did he eat? And that sort of prescribes what a healthy lifestyle would be today.
He definitely lived a very different lifestyle than most people do right now. Now, you talked earlier about 2 million years.
Yeah.
And a lot of things happened during those 2 million years. Now, something happened that you called one of the worst things that ever happened to human civilization. What happened?
Yeah, well, this is actually a quote from Jared Diamond, who's an anthropologist, who said that agriculture is one of the worst mistakes in the history of humanity. And basically, what happened was we went from being this fat-burning machine, a hunter-gatherer who didn't take in much carbohydrate, who had trained the body to derive most of its daily energy requirements from stored body fat, to build robust, strong muscle. We went from that into a paradigm, what I call the carbohydrate paradigm, where all of a sudden these cheap calories were available in the form of grains that could be easily stored, that allowed civilizations to stay in one place and not move around, and allowed people to have 9 children instead of the typical hunter-gatherer having 2 or maybe 3, one of whom lived. In that regard, we've taken ourselves down this path, much of which is great. I mean, you know, civilization has its benefits, and technology is great, and you know, we're coming to you through the internet right now, so you can't complain about that. But the reality is that we have turned on those genes that cause type 2 diabetes, that cause arthritis, that cause cancer. We've turned them on largely as a result of this dependency that we have on these grain-based, sugar-based, glucose-based products that only came into our existence in the last 10,000 years.
It seems to be a very common theme on the show. We've had Gary Taubes on, talked about grains and insulin. We had Dr. O'Brien on last week talking about gluten. What are some of the other problems with grains? Because most of our audience out there, they think that grains are the staff of life. It's the best thing to consume. Tell us about that.
What I say is there's no good reason to make grains any part of your diet except as a cheap source of calories that converts into sugar pretty quickly. That's the only good reason, and that's not a very good one. But there are a lot of reasons to exclude it. And one of those reasons would be phytic acid, phytates. So people who are proud of the fact that they have a very high whole grain based diet and eats lots of healthy, healthy whole grains. And they claim that they're getting all this great fiber. Well, the reality is that it's not very good fiber. It's actually, I would say that fiber that you get in most whole grains is antithetical to health. It's the wrong kind of fiber. The phytic acid, the phytates, bind with a lot of minerals. So people who are trying to be healthy and find out they still have low bone density, it may be because the phytic acid, the phytates, are binding with the calcium, preventing the body from absorbing the calcium in all your other food. And then now you find women today, modern women who are 20, 30, 40 years old, taking 3,000 milligrams of calcium a day, eating those little calcium chocolate chews and everything, and still have low bone density, not figuring out that it may be because they're not absorbing it because of the phytic acid and the phytates. There are things, in general, lectins, of which gluten is one, but lectins are these plant poisons, and we've not adapted to them. And some of the effects of lectins on the gut, the cells lining the gut. You know, the gut is supposed to be this great barrier that only allows short-chain amino acids, short-chain fatty acids, and glucose in, and simple sugars. Well, if you get the lectins interfering with the turnover of the cells lining the gut, you get leaky gut syndrome. Now you get holes in the gut. Now you get large undigested protein molecules leaking into your bloodstream, causing an immune response, which can then either have an immediate inflammatory, a systemic inflammatory effect, or can cause autoimmune diseases. I mean, we could just go on and on about saponins and lectins and phytates and all these what we call anti-nutrients in grains. It's just, in my mind, there's no reason to make grains part of your diet.
Tell us about food sensitivities, because that's part of that whole leaky gut type of deal. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, you know, and again, everybody's different, and some people can I thought I was a grain eater. For 40 years, man, I defended my right to eat grains. 1,000 grams a day of, you know, as a marathon or triathlete. I was getting 4,000 calories from complex carbohydrates every day. Well, it wasn't until I gave up the grains on literally a 30-day challenge to myself, a test. I went, holy crap, this is amazing what's happening to me. The transfer, I thought grains weren't affecting me at all. And in fact, they were. I had arthritis that kind of went away. I had irritable bowel syndrome that I'd lived with my whole life thinking it was due to stress, went away. Sinus stuff went away, so I got it. Now, people have these different levels of sensitivity. Some people are more sensitive to certain types of foods than others. I mean, certainly lactose intolerance you find in a large part of the population. People cannot consume milk. But a lot of these food sensitivities go back to the initial insult of having a grain-based diet, and then having the grain-based diet affect their digestive tract enough that some molecule of some food got into the bloodstream and set up an immune response, and now you're allergic to it.
Yeah, it's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
One thing leads to another, right? You talked earlier about your career as an athlete. You were what you call, and I'm the same way. You kind of have a similar story, an unhealthy fit person. There's a lot of people out there who are unhealthy fit people. What's your take on that? You go to a gym, you see people who are just looking good. What's going on the inside with a lot of those people?
Well, I mean, in my case, I was an endurance athlete, so I was doing all the things that we thought we were supposed to do. I ran a lot. I ate the carbohydrate-based diet. I was fast. I was a fast cat. I mean, if you look at pictures of me and you go, that is one fit dude, and you know, I did very well in races. But the reality was, I was sick on the inside. I had osteoarthritis at a very young age. I had chronic tendonitis in my hips. I had irritable bowel syndrome. I got upper respiratory tract infections 6 or 8 times a year, just from my suppressed immune system. So in many cases, what it takes to achieve high-level fitness, in race fitness, again, is antithetical to health. At some point, you cross the line over being healthy, and now in the desperate attempt to become faster, stronger, higher, whatever your sport is, you have to sacrifice health in order to work, to dig deeper, to work that much harder, to train that much harder, and hopefully recover to be able to compete. But in the end, you know, your health does suffer, and we see this throughout the athletic world, whether it's endurance athletes or football players or basketball players. There is a sacrifice that they make in terms of health over their life.
Yeah, it's definitely not a fair trade.
Yeah.
You have.
Well, I don't know if you're making $20 million a year, for 7 or 8 years, it may be.
But for the average person out there who's just thrashing themselves
and that's the reality is that you see people in the gym, and I see them all the time, and you do too. You know, they go to the gym, they're religious about it, they're trying to do the right thing, they think they're doing the right thing, they're jumping on the treadmill or the stationary bike or the elliptical, you know, cranking out, they're sweating, they're got their tunes on, you know, their heart rate's way over, you know, whatever it should be. And they leave the gym thinking, wow, I just did a great workout, boy, am I hungry. And then they get home, and you know, the brain has this insidious way of going, oh, that guy's going to try that tomorrow. I better get ready for it. So the tendency is to overeat and to overconsume carbohydrates. And that's, again, part of this carbohydrate paradigm is that when you get into this carbohydrate lifestyle that presupposes that you're going to have to get a new supply of glucose every 3 to 4 hours, or else you'll go into starvation mode and you'll cannibalize your muscle tissue, which was the old mantra.
Yeah.
But that does happen when you are on this literal and figurative treadmill of working out hard all day long, and then thinking you did yourself a favor, but then going home and overeating. And so you see, as a result, people in the gym 4 or 5 years later still have the same 25 pounds to lose.
We see it all the time.
Yeah.
Now, you have a lot of different ideas about nutrition that we don't hear very much. What's your take on breakfast? Do we need to have breakfast every single morning?
The answer is no. There's no magic to breakfast. It's not the most important meal of the day. It's a meal, and in many cases, a lot of people who embark on the Primal Blueprint style of eating, one of the transitions that you make is that you literally upregulate all the fat metabolizing gene systems and cell systems, and you downregulate those sugar-dependent ones. As a result, you get to a point where you can derive a lot of your normal day-to-day energy from your stored body fat, so you can go long periods of time without eating. And for a lot of people who wake up in the morning and who are not hungry, of which I am one, a cup of coffee is all I need to keep me going until 11 o'clock in the morning, most mornings. Some days, if I'm hungry, I'll have an omelet, but there's no magic to breakfast. It's again, one of these things that was promoted, well, originally promoted by the cereal companies, but has been promoted by the fitness and health community, which is still tied into this old carbohydrate paradigm, which suggests that if you don't eat 6 small meals a day with some protein and some carbohydrate, you will go into starvation mode and you will hoard all your fat tissue and cannibalize your muscle tissue.
I'm guilty of that.
You know?
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So when you reprogram your genes in the direction of becoming an efficient fat burner, which is what literally your factory default setting is when you were born, your human recipe, your factory setting, was for you to be an efficient fat burner. And yet, depending on your parents and the lifestyle and where you grew up and what your background is with food, most of us sort of fiddled with the knobs and became sugar burners and became sugar dependent and sort of down-regulated all that fat metabolism, partly now in the last 20 years as a result of fear of saturated fat in the diet, which is ridiculous. So anyway, that was a long-winded answer to your question.
Grok didn't wake up every day and have breakfast. Grok.
No,
really
I mean, this is the point. For 2 million years, you didn't know where the next meal was coming from. So if there was a meal and there was a lot of food, you probably ate a lot of food because that was efficient and you could store some of that as fat. Cut to now where there's effectively no shortage of food or certainly of calories around us, so we don't have that issue, and yet we still the brain still wants us to eat more than we should. And one of the strategies that we use, one of the effects of this Primal Blueprint eating style, is we learn how to kind of get rid of that sugar craving, or at least suppress it, because you won't get rid of it entirely. It's hardwired in there. And how to, little tricks to surround yourself with high-fat snacks, for instance, instead of having, I got to have a bagel, or I'm gonna fall apart, or have low blood sugar. No, now we have these strategies where once you've programmed yourself to be an efficient fat burner, then if you are hungry, then feed the beast.
What would be a high-fat snack?
Macadamia nuts, one of the best in the world. Yeah,
right.
But I mean, sardines, a chicken wing. An old cold lamb chop. I mean, there's no magic to snacks. It doesn't have to be 100-calorie, Little Debbie's, whatever,
Right.
Yeah.
Intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
We talked about going long periods of time without food. Tell us about that and why.
So skipping breakfast is a form of intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is simply a strategy that a lot of people use who are trying either to lose weight or just want to do some internal repair. Intermittent fasting, again, works best if you have become an efficient fat burner. If you're still in the old carbohydrate paradigm and you have not made the shift, intermittent fasting becomes a little bit more difficult. It still works, but it's a little bit more difficult. It's very easy to do if you're eating Primal Blueprint style, in which case you may decide to eat lunch one day and then not eat until lunch the next day. 24 hours of not eating. A lot of people do this once a week with not only zero ill effect. Many people find their thinking improves. They'll lose a little bit of that stored body fat because your body is deriving that 2,200 calories over that period of time from your stored body fat. And even, at 8% body fat, I still got enough to carry me through a couple of days. Right. The other thing that happens as a result of intermittent fasting is that we actually, the body has a couple of choices in times of famine or in times of feast. In times of feast, the body can say, hey, there's plenty of food, let's replicate, let's have the cells all divide and make new cells. Well, what happens is that actually advances the aging process, because every time your cells divide, it's one less time that they have available to them, one telomere that gets shortened. In terms of famine, one of the strategies, these survival strategies that a lot of animals, including humans, have, is this ketogenesis and going into a ketosis state and kind of readjusting energy pathways, and then instead of dividing, but taking the existing cells and repairing them. So that's when a lot of the damage to DNA that's been done either from exposure to chemicals or from just bad food choices prior, that's when a lot of the repair can happen in your cells. So a lot of people who do intermittent fasting do so with the idea that this is a very healthy thing I can do, and it's actually part of my anti-aging strategy.
Anti-aging is exactly what I was thinking about. Water. When I go out places, fit people like carry around like a gallon of water when they got their camel packs on and all that stuff. Do we need to drink like a half gallon or a gallon? Is there an 8 glasses a day requirement for everybody?
No, that's sort of an old wives' tale. The reality is, the human thirst mechanism works extremely well. It's very efficient. If you're thirsty, drink some water. If you're not, there's no reason to force yourself to drink water. And I hear stories on the internet, particularly among, sort of the certain low-fat, raw vegan crowds about, you drink so much water until you pee clear all the time. I think that's, again, antithetical to health. It's not only not healthy, it's probably unhealthy to drink that much water. There are issues that...
Why would it be unhealthy?
Well, one of the things that happens is, at the greatest extreme, you can get what we call hyponatremia, which is basically a dilution of the salts in the spaces in your bloodstream, and you can get edema in the brain, and it can cause death. It happens every once in a while in a marathon, where people who do the marathon think, they drink 30 quarts of water during a marathon and think they're doing themselves a favor, when in fact the exact opposite is happening. But the other thing that happens as a result of this excessive water consumption is, in my mind, I think it dilutes your digestive processes. So your stomach is supposed to contain a very, very low pH, high acidic environment that can not only digest meat, fish, fowl, eggs, nuts, seeds, vegetables, and so on, but also acts as an original barrier to germs. When you breathe in germs, this stuff drains down into your stomach, and if your stomach acid is functioning and it's strong enough, that's the end of it. That's where the virus. That's where it's killed. If you've diluted your stomach acid, you not only may have issues with digestion. I can't believe that people drink 3 glasses of water at a meal. When they're supposed to be. It's supposed to be that great acidic environment to digest the food. And also, and you may expose yourself to more of the pathogens that make it past that first kind of barrier.
So should we drink water in between meals?
If you're thirsty, drink water. If you're not, then there's no reason to. And I think the idea that you got to force yourself to drink 2 gallons a day or whatever some health guru said is ridiculous. And it probably... not effective at best and harmful at worst.
Good stuff. Really good stuff. We got a Facebook question from Jared Maidenberg. Good guy.
Yeah.
He wants to know, what's the #1 takeaway that we can take from the Primal Blueprint?
Look, the #1 takeaway is grains. Get rid of your dependence on grains. I think there's no good reason to make grains any part of your diet, especially when you've got, I provide a list of all the foods you can eat: meat, fish, fowl, eggs, nuts, seeds, vegetables, slathered in butter, all these healthy fats. And so if you are ready, willing, and able to make a change in your life, and you can go, okay, I'm going to try 30 days, no bread, no pasta, no cereal, no rice, no crackers, no cookies, and cut the sugars out too. It will be life transforming.
Right on. Obligatory. We do this every show. Underground Wellness Show question.
Yeah.
What did you eat today?
Well, I had a cup of coffee, a big cup of black coffee with some heavy whipping cream, because I'm all about the fat. Yes. And I haven't eaten yet, so we're intermittent fasting. We're intermittent fasting, yeah. And it's and we're gonna go fix some lunch in a little bit. So I'll probably just saving for that. But because I was not hungry, I don't eat.
Right. Mark and I are about to whip up some lunch right now. You guys actually get to join us for that. Mark, your book is The Primal Blueprint. Got any parting words for us right now?
No, just my main thing is everybody. is an experiment of one, and the more you could find out about how the body works, and then take some of the information and apply it. I mean, because it's really, you're responsible for your own health. Nobody else, not your doctor, not your parents, not your spouse, not your next door neighbor who's into multi-level marketing. You know, you're the only person that can really affect your health. And so the more information you can gather and put to work, the better you'll be for the rest of your life.
Words of wisdom right there. We're gonna cook something up. Mark, thanks so much. Don't forget, guys, you can watch the entire interview at undergroundwellness.com. Let's go eat. We are about to get our primal grub on. Mark, we're gonna make, well, what today?
We're gonna make taco-less fish tacos, which is one of my daughter's favorite meals. You know, we like fish tacos, we love fish tacos, but you know, we're not into the grain, so the corn tortillas are out the window, the other tortillas. But the filling of the taco is what we're really after. So we've got this great recipe with a citrus dressing that I think is fabulous, and I hope you agree.
And this comes from your most recent book, Primal Blueprint, Quick and Easy Meals.
Right.
Bunch of meals in here you guys can make in under 30 minutes. So where do we start? What are we using? I'm gonna let you lead us through this whole thing.
I'm gonna preface this by saying I'm a pretty simple guy. So usually my meals are a grilled steak, a grilled piece of fish, a big salad, an omelet or something like that, stuff that's really quick and easy. Yeah. So this is, for me, I mean, the whole book was about how can I stay quick and easy and have a little bit more flavor in this. So we're going to start with, we got some great halibut that you bought on your way here. Basically, we're just going to cube it, cut it into small sections, and prepare that for what will be easier to cook. And in the book, it'll say, you know, to have the pieces a little bit larger than I'm doing right here, but we like them cubed this way, so making sure that we don't do anything to our fingers along the way here.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Yeah, it would be bad. It would be really bad. Very good. Oh, the fish it's great smelling fish too. This is halibut. You can do it with other fish too, any kind of white fish that you want to do. And then I'm going to cut these into cubes here so that they're, and then what we're going to do is we've got this lemon pepper seasoning that we're going to season the fish with. And then we're going to cook it in a light kind of an olive oil. All right, so now we're going to season this with some sweet lemon pepper seasoning, which you can buy in most stores. And I've got a liberal amount that I'm going to sprinkle on all this.
That's definitely a liberal
amount. I'm just going to mix it up a little bit in here and let the seasoning coat the fish cubes, and that's what it's going to look like. Get that? Pretty darn good, huh? Yeah.
That's some good stuff right there. Mark, you make quite a cook, man.
Oh, well. I don't know about that.
You guys can do us at home
Don't quit my day job.
Seriously. Yeah. Don't forget, Primal Blueprint, quick and easy meals. You can find a lot of recipes just like this one there. Real short, quick ones for you guys. You know, guys are out there busy all the time and whatnot. Cook something healthy. We're out of here. We're gonna go work out. We're about to work it out, primal style. Mark, we're gonna do some real basic movements, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about them.
These are bodyweight exercises that we came up with that sort of encompass most of what we're going to do in real life functional fitness. So today we're just going to do 3 rounds of push-ups, squats, planks, and pull-ups. Now, obviously we can do more push-ups and we can pull-ups, so you adjust it to what you're, but you try and max out on each one before you move on to the next round. Shall we go hit it?
Let's go do it.
All right, let's go do it.
Mark Sisson.
There you go, Sean.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for spending your time with us today.
My pleasure.
We
Thanks
got
for
to
coming.
interview, we got to cook, we got to work out, we knocked it all out. Where can our audience learn more about you?
MarksDailyApple.com is my blog. The book is The Primal Blueprint. You can get it on Amazon or at primalblueprint.com. Come on, join us. It's a great community.
Right on. Check him out. We're out of here. Catch us next week. Peace.
Mark's Daily Apple has become one of the strongest paleo, low-carb, primal communities in the internet. Tens of thousands of people log on every day and they share their experiences with weight loss, with renewed energy, reducing their risk for all kinds of diseases. And it's become this great wiki where it helps me shape my own philosophies and ideas based on the input I get from the viewers.